Well, first of all, there's nothing to discuss contractually. A player LeBron James' age can only get a 2-year deal. He can't get 3 years. He can't get 4 years. They're offering him the max. There's no question in my mind they're going to offer him the max. So contractually, there's really nothing to discuss. The only thing they could possibly be discussing is, LeBron, tell me, what do you think? How can we get better? How can we make this team a contending, championship contending team? LeBron is saying, Rob, what are your plans? What do you and the higher-ups have on doing to make this team a championship contending team? So as far as productivity, Skip, I believe that's the only thing that they could possibly discuss, knowing that LeBron James at his age can only get a 2-year deal. Given LeBron James and his stature, can only get a max. The max is $48.5 million for LeBron James. It's not 50. It's not that $60 million contract that Dame Lillard is going to $63 million that Dame is going to get in the final year of his contract. They can't go that high. So the contract is the contract. It is what it is. 2 years, max money. So what could they possibly be talking about? How do we make the Lakers a championship contending team? Are we still in the what do I say, the trading Russ? Is that still a possibility? Is that still, is that still on the table? How do we get better? What about Buddy Hield? I'm sure Rob is saying, LeBron, yes, that's still on the table. But what we're trying to do is hold on to as many assets as we possibly can to see how this Brooklyn Nets situation play out with a Kevin Durant, which we'll discuss a little later in another segment, Skip. But if Kevin Durant is somehow traded, are the Brooklyn Nets saying, okay, we've got Kevin Durant traded. We like the pieces that we have. We don't want Kyrie Irving being the leader of this ball club, considering what transpired over the last 2 to 3 years since Kyrie's been in this organization. So for me, Skip, I believe I don't really know what, for lack of a better words, I don't really know how could you have a bad, as far as situation, as far as talks about LeBron James, because there's nothing to discuss on the contract end. The only thing we can discuss is how do we make this basketball team better.
Okay. My response to this, when I read this last night, was I was surprised but not shocked. The reason I'm not shocked is I have told you from the start, LeBron James is going nowhere else. LeBron James wants to be a Laker till death and the NBA do him part. He wants to retire a Los Angeles Laker because he loves living here in Los Angeles, in Brentwood, in Beverly Hills, where I don't know how many houses he has, but he wants to make this his permanent, lifelong home. He wants to be in Hollywood. He wants to be a Hollywood power broker. His family reportedly loves it here. You probably hear it directly from them. They don't want to go anywhere else, certainly back to Akron or Cleveland. So the point is, the Lakers know that there's no threat here. LeBron James, for the first time in his career, has zero leverage because they know he does not want to leave. And I think they are calling his bluff on whether he even would consider going back to Cleveland in a year or two, even if there's a possible connection to play with Bronny when he finally makes it to the NBA, and we don't know how good he'll be. But the point is...
Skip, I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Let me disagree with you for just a second, because I don't believe he ever wanted to leave Cleveland, but he didn't feel that Cleveland could give him an opportunity to win for a championship. I believe he didn't want to leave Miami. He loved Miami. South Beach, palm trees, South Beach. There's a lot to like about Miami, and no state income tax. But Miami no longer presented him an opportunity to win a title, so he went back to Cleveland. Sure, LeBron James might love a location in which he's at, but if you do not provide him the adequate opportunity to compete, to seriously compete for a title, he will pack up shop. It gets a lot easier to move once you've done it once. See, when you got into this business, Skip, you probably got to like, man, I kind of like it here. But then all of a sudden, you moved one time, you left Dallas, you left Chicago, you left wherever you left. It gets a lot easier to move once you've done it once.
But thank you for bringing that up, because soon after I got out of Vanderbilt University, I wound up in Los Angeles working for the LA Times. And when I left to become a columnist in Dallas at age, 26, I said, if I ever get a chance to go back to L.A., I'm going back to L.A., and look at us now.
Yeah,
and
but you went to Chicago, Bristol.
Okay, I got it. But the point is that of all the places I've lived, and I've also lived in Miami, the difference right now is if you walk outside in Miami, Florida, as we speak, if you walk outside, you can walk for about 2 minutes and you'll break out in a sweat because it is humid. Here, you can walk for 2 hours and not break a sweat because there's no humidity. It was a little more muggy yesterday here. I know you're not here, but the point is that for the most part, it's glorious here. It's ho-hum, another day in paradise. So the point is that on the first day that LeBron was eligible for this extension to sign, he winds up, he and Rich Paul go to El Segundo. What a difference a contract year makes, because they drive down to El Segundo to the Lakers facility. They probably drove from Brentwood area. So it's not the easiest trip because you got to go on the 405, I think, unless they helicoptered. But
no,
okay, so if you drive down, you have to make the effort to go meet with them. Remember, Magic knocked on LeBron's door at 12:01 or whatever it was when free agency opened to recruit LeBron to come to L.A. in the first place, going back whatever it was, 4 years ago. So the point is, I was a little surprised that LeBron and Rich Paul are like knocking on the Lakers' door. We're ready. We're ready. We're open for business here. And all of a sudden, you're no longer playing hard to get because, as you've pointed out from the start, you could wait on this extension for a whole nother year to sign it. You could threaten free agency, but they don't want to threaten free agency because there's no more game to be played off the court. They just want to be a Laker. So they're going down, and I'm sure they're kicking around saying, we need you to get rid of Russ here. We need to get out from under Russ. And what other moves are we talking about here? Yet they initiated the contact, and they give up all their leverage because the Lakers, I don't know if Jeannie went to the meeting or not. She probably had better things to do because she's basically been rolling her eyes at LeBron James through this offseason. She's still infatuated with all that Kobe brought to the franchise, and Kobe was her chief advisor. And I think she's been a little disrespectful to LeBron on Twitter by continuing to hark back to the Kobe days, the Kobe days, the Kobe days. I miss Kobe. But LeBron's kind of hat in hand going down to El Segundo. Are we ready to sign? How do we want to work this out? So to me, that was the biggest tip-off that actually underscored what I've been telling you for several weeks here on the show. LeBron has lost his leverage and wants to be nothing but a Laker.
Yeah, but Skip, it's kind of like a relationship. I love being in this relationship. I just need to know one thing. I'm asking her, are you going to stop hanging out so much with your girlfriends? Do you feel a need to go out every weekend? She's going to ask me, are you done hanging out with them trifling-ass homeboys of yours? I mean, because, you know, they up to no good. And so I don't really like you around them because association brings on assimilation. So are you willing to do that? So, LeBron, I like being in L.A. I just need to know one thing, Rich. I mean, you Rob, what are you going to do? How are we going to make this team better? Because I'm not just here for the being here. Yes, I love the L.A. weather. Yes, all of my businesses, I've packed up shop, and I've moved everything to one central location. I love it here. Don't get me wrong. But the moment that you think that I won't leave because I don't feel you're giving me the best opportunity, I'm going into year 20. I don't got 20 more years. If I was in year 5, I could trust you and I could ride it out. But I don't have a whole lot of time to dilly-dally around. So unless I need to hear you say, yes, we're still trying to move Russ. Yes, we're trying to get pieces to surround you and Anthony Davis because we believe that those are our best options. Look, Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, they'll be there. But he said, I want to hold on to those draft picks. I want to hold on to THT just in case. We're going to talk about Kyrie in a little bit. The Nets come to their senses and are willing to part with Kyrie. And then I'll be willing to get off a THT. I'd be willing to get off those 2 first-round draft picks. But in the meantime, this is what I'm thinking. It's nice to know what you're thinking and that we're on the same page. But the one thing I'm glad you didn't bring up was no pay cut because they know that would be beneath them to ask the GOAT to take a pay cut.
Well, I told you yesterday, it should not be beneath the GOAT to offer a pay cut, the quote-unquote phony GOAT that he is, because if he were the GOAT, he would say, I'm so great that I want to win another ring, and I'm going to maximize my chances like the great Tim Duncan did in his final 3 years with the Spurs when he averaged making $10 million a year. And in 2013 and 2014, he was making $10 million a year, and they should have won both years. And he took so much less than his market value as a top 10 all-time player that it allowed R.C. Buford to maximize the roster, the deep bench, to support Tim Duncan's leadership and his on-floor impact. So my point is, I'm lost on this, why LeBron would, maybe he did. Maybe he watched our show yesterday and they went to El Segundo and said, how about we do a James Harden kind of a deal where we take a lot less? Okay, Shannon, he could take, there's no law against this. You could do the James Harden deal where you take like 3.1 veterans minimum, $3.1 million, but then you have a wink-wink handshake deal whereby in the next year you get the max. But you could really, I think you could increase their cap chances, their available cap money to $76 million if you took $3 million this year. I don't know why you wouldn't make the moves to help the Lakers win now.
Why would a millionaire take less money so a billionaire, and I'm not so sure that they know what to do with it anyway? No, that's not my responsibility.
No, time out. Wait, LeBron is a billionaire, right?
I know, and that's how we became a billionaire, by not giving money back. He said, I played 4 years under less than a max contract. I'm never doing that again. So, that being said, we know where he stands on that issue. The only thing that he and Rich Paul wanted clarification on is that we're still in the market trying to move Russ. We're still on the market trying to improve this ball club to give us the best chance to win. Because LeBron James, a healthy LeBron, hopefully AD looks like he's been working out. And he's going to come back and he's able to stay. If he can give us 70 games, somewhere between 65 and 70 games, I can live with that. But I need AD hungry again. I'm not saying he wasn't hungry. I'm just saying the last 2 years he didn't eat. But I need AD to give me what he gave me his first year in L.A. when he came in hungry and with a point to prove. I need that AD to show back up again. If that AD shows up and LeBron James is healthy, somebody's in a heap of trouble. And you know how big a heap is.
Somebody might have been in a heap of trouble yesterday during this meeting if, in fact, Jeannie Buss attended said meeting, because Jeannie is strong enough to stand up to LeBron and say, LeBron, now you're waiting and hoping we get rid of Russ. You're all but demanding we get rid of the guy that you wanted just a year ago. And we gave in to your wishes and our better judgment. And we got you, Russell Westbrook. And now we're not going to get you out from under Russell Westbrook because it would cost us our future. We would have to give up first-round picks in 27, 29.
Do you remember the Lakers' future before LeBron James dropped out of the sky in their lap? Like you said Tom Brady did for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you remember the Lakers in Jeannie's Buss future before LeBron James came knocking on the door and says, I want to come play for you? Do you remember what the Lakers were?
Yeah, I do. I remember the Showtime Lakers of Magic Johnson. I remember the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. I remember the Kobe and Gasol Lakers. I remember championship upon championship upon championship. The ceiling is packed with banners. I know all about the Lakers pre-LeBron and that bubblicious, phony championship that you won.
You remember Kobe's last 3 years? Kobe retired in 2016. So we're going back to 2013.
Apart. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, that happened. But I'm just saying, you remember what the Lakers, and I'm not talking about the Minneapolis Lakers, and I'm not talking about Showtime, and I'm not talking about Shaq and Kobe, and I'm not talking about Kobe and Powell. But there were lean years. That was not what the Lakers were accustomed to. They were not even close to winning a championship. And lo and behold, a guy knocks on their door when he knew exactly where he was going, but he wanted to offer you his services. And he didn't really ask for a whole lot in return. He played the first year with those young guys. And then he made a recommendation that you go out and get me Anthony Davis and I'll bring you a title. He did that. Now, he's telling you, if you go out and get him another piece, he'll bring you another title. Now, he's a man of his word. Trust him.
Shannon Sharpe, I don't know if you remember, but last year was a lean year for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
Jeannie definitely remembers this because it's still very painful for her.
Yeah.
And they went 33-49 with 55 games from the quote-unquote GOAT, as in phony GOAT.
Yeah.
And AD was there on and off for a while, and Russ was there the whole
40.
way. And
Yeah, unfortunately.
they missed the play-in tournament. And in so doing, in losing 49 games, LeBron lost his leverage. He lost his bargaining power. And now he's got to come to Jeannie with hat in hand and say, I'm ready and eager to sign my 2-year extension.
Well, he could have signed it yesterday. Why didn't he?
Well, maybe they're close. Maybe they're drawing up the papers as we speak.
Hold on. They could have, trust me, they got the papers. The papers are already drawn up.
Yeah.
They would love nothing more than have LeBron, Ramon James on a contract. But it's not there. So he is in no rush.
Yeah, but
because you know why? He still has the leverage, even though you don't believe he does.
He does not. And
he does.
Oh, Ramon, you kept telling me Ramon's got a whole year to make them sweat.
He does.
And he showed up yesterday on their doorstep. What are you doing?
Skip, he was going to go to the facility to practice anyway. Did you not see him the day before with Bronny and Bryce? You saw that.
So
He's been short.
It was coincidence.
I was Skip. I was in that. I was going. Look here, Skip. It's kind of like I'm headed that direction. You need a ride.
Yeah.
I'm already going that direction.
Yeah.
I'm not going out of my way. You make it seem like the man went out of his way.
Shannon, you know and I know, winning a championship is no longer LeBron's priority in his life. He's
But you
won
said that in the
4
beginning.
of them. You already told me that half the world thinks he's the GOAT and half the world thinks Michael's the GOAT.
Correct.
And nothing will change anybody's mind because everybody's dug in on one side or the other.
Correct.
So in LeBron's mind, he's 4-6 in the finals. And
About to be 5 and 6.
Okay, well, 5 and 6, according to Shannon Sharpe, will not change his legacy or the world's view of LeBron James. So my point is, all he wants to do is concentrate on staying healthy enough to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a great Laker, for the greatest scorer in the history of the NBA, and he wants to do it in purple and gold in Hollywood on the what used to be the Staples floor, now obviously the Crypt. They turned it into the Crypt last year.
Right.
And the point is that's all he really needs to do is just play this out. And maybe Bronny at some point could join him on the Lakers at the very end, maybe for his final year. I'd love to see Bryce join him on the Lakers. I just don't know if LeBron can last that long or if he wants to last that long.
I just want to break it to you. The only competition with LeBron James is LeBron James and the man in the mirror. That's the competition he's up against now because he's surpassed everybody else. He's only competing with the man in the mirror.
Well, so he's listening to Michael Jackson's song, right? That's when they go up and down the 405. That's all he listens to is the man in the mirror. Okay.
That's his competition.
Okay, but look, the point here is, I told you it's just like Jerry Jones. If we win one, fine, but Jerry's got 3, LeBron's got 4. That they're late in their careers, and if it happens, that would be great. But there's no urgency on the part of LeBron, and he can huff and puff and try to blow the Lakers' house down, and you got to make moves for me. Well, they're not going to undo the move that they made for him last year. He got his shot last year with Russ, and now he made his bed, and he's going to have to sleep in his bed this whole year with Russ in the same bed with him because Russ, unfortunately, has a 2-year deal and will cost Jeannie Buss $47 million this next season.
Oh, so you saying they're not going to do anything? I'm going to hit you with that Usher. Watch this.
That's it. That's what's going to happen. Thank you. Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah.
Watch this. Talking about they ain't going to do nothing with old Russ. Why, like Usher said. Watch this.
Okay. Yeah, I think Jeannie's saying, watch this back to LeBron. So, again, it's almost like LeBron's groveling here. It's kind of pitiful. I never thought I'd see LeBron grovel.
There you go. The man had the man had a sit down with the higher ups in the organization with his representative, and they're talking about the course that they're going to chart in order to get a championship. And now you somehow you deduce, oh, he's groveling.
They're probably there at like 6 a.m. yesterday morning. We're here. You guys ready? You got the papers ready?
There you go. I promise you that did not happen.
Well, I don't know. I think LeBron's in sort of a sad state right now, but hey, he's in L.A., so he's in the state of California. That's all that really matters.
Man, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
And there is never a lack of drama in La La Land.
No.
That's for sure.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.